First of all, you know, releasing an album is usually a happy moment for a band, but recent events might have slightly dampened that mood. So how are you feeling right now?
That's a good question.
I'm looking at you.
I can't answer it. I did know Terry, but
it's in so many ways. It's sort of it's luck that we were able to work with Terry in the sense of getting the album finished from the perspective of all the rhythm section and all the bass lines and so on. And Terry's illness was such a shock and such a swift and terrible thing to happen that it was very difficult, and we had to make big decisions about the completion of the album. But in so many ways, because Terry was fully involved with that album right up until his death, and even in hospital it was a priority to him to make sure that the band carried on and went forward and stayed. VARDIS went forward and stayed together for 2016, even though he knew he wouldn't be there.
So you did discuss the future of VARDIS after his diagnosis with him.
Yeah. And he was very, very, very adamant that his legacy was part of the development of the band and that we carry on and go forward, and it was testament to the bravery and the sheer sort of. This is why, to me, he's such a strong warrior, because he actually his main concern was that the band would go forward, release the album, play the shows. He was very almost apologetic that he couldn't do them.
He was. I think that came out across very much.
And it's a phenomenal thing, and and in a way that gave myself and Joe, I'm sure, a lot of strength really to think we have to go on, and music is what Terry lived for. A man of the earth, he was very much a man who knew and came to terms with the realities of situations, and he had no fear of what his fate was to be. He knew that we as a band had produced something special over this past year or two when we reunited and so forth, and his main concern was to make sure that that legacy carried on and went forward. And of course, after the diagnosis and after the pressures of coping with everything that went with that, it took a couple of months or so before myself and Joe then were able to be strong enough in a way to put into action Terry's last wishes, which was this going forward with the band, you know.
And then how did Martin here come into the picture?
Probably through me, because Martin and I had known each other since 99?
17 years.
Yeah, since like 1999. And we'd worked together, played a little bit here and there, now and then. We did quite a lot of jamming together with Adrian.
Yeah, I was doing some blues things with Adrian Smith.
Adrian Smith of Amazing, yeah.
You know, a good drummer.
So he,
So
he invited me along, and it was,
And what goes round comes round.
That's right.
Well, that's how you got to know each other.
And then when this job came, Joe thought of me straight away.
The first person I thought of, and also I've often spoken to Terry about Martin, because just about similar music we liked and people we'd worked with, and I knew that Terry had worked with people that Martin had worked with.
That's right, yeah,
like Nico McBrain had worked with him, and there were a number of other people, and also the fact that
I bought my bass from him.
You bought your bass from Terry?
In 1984, I bought my Fender Precision from him. Yeah.
Okay, that's...
And there was at one point Terry actually phoned me up and said, "Oh, have you got Martin's number?" He said, "Because there's a band." And so there was a link there. So this was a few months.
He would have been glad that he'd be pleased for me that I'm doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Martin, you're speaking about yourself. In fact, you've played with many bands, including amongst which are Scarlet, which featured one of Terry's ex-bandmates from Dirty Tricks in the lineup, no?
Yes, Andy Byrne on drums.
Yeah. And you also released an album called Red Alert with Scarlett, which is
I know. That's right.
ironic.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that before.
So what do you remember of that time? You know, that's a bit different from...
Yeah, it's different. To be frank, really, the German guy who produced it was all his project. It was a bit Led Zeppelin, really. He was trying to be like a German Led Zeppelin. He came over to Britain and he saw us at a gig. We were playing in my band, and he hired us there and then. He just gave us plane tickets and said, "I want you to come to Germany." And he wanted an English rhythm section for his project. And he had Steve Ellis from Widowmaker on the first album. So it's pretty good, the first album. Yeah.
And you also played with Black Sabbath for a brief while. How did that happen?
I did.
I went for the audition and got the audition, but a couple of months later I got fired. So
Was there any... what
I can't say.
the problem with this, my name isn't on the album.
What album are we talking?
The Headless Cross in 1989. It wasn't Ozzy, it was Tony Martin then on vocals, but people always say, "Oh, you're not on the album," so I tend not to mention it.
So you've not mentioned.
But is it you who plays bass on that album?
I'm on the first 4 tracks, as far as I know, yeah. But I don't know, I really don't know. I can't say too much because I don't want to speak ill of people, you know.
At the time, Black Sabbath were passing through a bad phase, members coming in and out.
In the second Scarlet album, the Black Sabbath were playing in Germany. George Galea found out there was loads of tickets left, so they weren't selling out the tour that I would have been on.
That's
so
the...
in a way, I felt okay, so you know, you should have had me.
Anyway.
But move on. I'm being very good at it. I'm not mentioning FNG.
Don't say anything.
Joe, about yourself, last time we spoke, it didn't speak much about you. How did you hone your craft in playing the drums? How did you get...
I think just a lot of playing, a lot of practicing.
You self-taught or did you...
Self-taught, yeah.
Yeah?
Self-taught. I did, in 1990, I went to this place called Musicians Academy, but it didn't do a lot for me, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. And being taught just didn't work for me, but in the manner that they were trying to teach me, it didn't work. In fact, it was through another friend, a friend called Chris Dale. We both did that together, bass player.
Bass player,
Yeah.
Bruce Dickinson and
That's
Tank.
right, yeah, and we're friends for a long time. And,
Okay.
We both went into this musicians academy, and it was in Wapping. So we did that for about 6 months, and it didn't work for me particularly. So I just playing in barns, setting up my drums in the middle of nowhere, that kind of thing. So yeah, self-taught really.
All right.
Mistakes.
Let's speak about this album, Red Eye. I mean, the phrase Red Eye Journey refers to a journey departing late at night. Is this in turn a reference to the album Departing Late in Your Careers?
Well, I think it's more to do with the inner demon within everybody and the way that civilization is based upon the control of the demon within individuals. But it's not about demonic worship, or it's not sort of anything to do with that. It's just to do with, you've heard the term red mist. Red mist?
I did. Remind me what?
Use your tempo.
Oh, I see. Which obfuscates your...
Red mist is something that the whole of the human race in a way depends upon being suppressed, but it is often a prevalent situation in a minority of cases. And I think Red Eye is all about containing that and seeing that and looking and observing people and the frustrations in modern life, I suppose, generally. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and your connections are really strong. Yeah.
So you didn't have that in mind when you...
I sort of had that song, the lyric to the song and the title was something that I've sort of had for a while, and to be quite honest, I can't remember exactly when they all sprang out, you know, the actual term. But yeah, I mean, it's a strong connection, no emotion. Yeah.
And it's Terry who plays bass in the album, right?
Correct.
The Knowledge and Jolly Roger, I believe you already played live in with Terry in London, is that right?
That's right, yeah, and we did the EP, the 200 miles an hour EP, those two were on there.
Red Eye, we've just talked about a moment ago.
But I must say, and Joel will speak more on this, in that the Knowledge and Jolly Roger, when we record, we like to record in the old-fashioned way of just doing lots of takes of the same track live.
Yeah.
And then we select the take that we like to make it the one to work on for the overdubs and then on the album. And we were lucky in the sense that we got 2 or 3 versions of Jolly Roger and the Knowledge. And then myself and Joe recently went through them, and then...
So who's watching the interview will understand you don't record each instrument one by one, and then with the software put it over, it's just live.
The rhythm section is usually very much a live performance in one take, yeah. But we have more than one version, so the version on the album Red Eye is different, and very different to the one that was on the EP. It's not a remix, it's actually a new version.
It's a different version.
So the Red Eye album has completely new performances of each song. It's not been out any of it before, yeah? So Jolly Roger on Red Eye is very different to Jolly Roger on the EP. It's a different tempo to start with, isn't it? Slightly. So, you know, this is important to us as well, and to make sure that these records have a uniqueness that has never been...
Are there tracks, Paranoia Strikes, for example, or what's do you remember?
Paranoia Strikes and Red Eye are very much... I don't know if you've seen the album sleeve. All I can say is that the Paranoia Strikes and the Red Eye track sounds exactly how the sleeve looks.
Okay.
That's good. I'm not even on it, I'm proud of it. It's a really weird feeling to be proud of something you're not part of. But
I Need You Now. I mean, who are you talking about?
Again, this is... sometimes lyrically I can go into different layers, and I said something to Joe the other day, and I thought, I bet people don't get that. What did I say? I can't remember.
Well,
I need you now. Oh, like a hole in the head.
A hole in the head. I was just.
That's the line that's missing.
There's a sarcastic way.
Yeah, it's a hidden. It's a hidden meaning. I need you now, but I could have sang I need you now like a hole in the head. But the song sounds like I Need You Now, which it isn't. It's actually the other way around. Things like that I often play around with lyrics.
It seems to be quite straightforward from the title, no? Or no?
Hold Me has a very strong blues influence, and I've always experimented with bottleneck slide guitar, and I decided to have a go with this particular track with the slide, yeah.
And there's a lot of blues on the music of VARDIS, there always has been, right?
Yeah, in the roots of it, for sure, yeah.
And Lightning Man, who's that? You? Is that you? Who's the Lightning Man?
I suppose it's a long time. That was inspired through, I suppose, the whole sort of showcasing of the boxing world and the fighters of the world, the gladiators. And in a way I miss it, because in the 80s the boxing characters and the shows were fantastic, and it was sort of there with the rock and roll thing. It was like, my God, this is entertainment. And I think in the last couple of decades it's slowly ground down and it's become a bit mundane, and there's no real characters. And I just thought, if I was a boxer, would I be called the Lightning Man? That's right, I fancy the name, you know, for me. So I was sort of writing the whole sort of lyric around the sort of the ring, the sort of being a champion fighter, and metaphorically a fighter, because in a way boxing is the hardest physical endurance of a human being in modern times. And I think we all have fights in our lives that we have to overcome, and so the metaphors are very strong for me. You know, I'm not a violent man, but at the end of the day, I like to.
Anyone can relate.
Yeah, and so. It's like Eye of the Tiger, and I think it's a long time since there's been a boxing song, you know, this idea that you're putting it on the line and you're going out there and you're entertaining, but at the same time you're unleashing this power.
The cathartic quality to it.
Yeah, and I love the whole Gladiator film and the whole sort of, the idea of the Gladiator. It's just an awesome concept that in some ways we still have, but we hide it and we use it in different ways to survive in life, don't we?
Back to school, is that another metaphor? It's another song in the album.
I'd like to know the answer to this one.
Okay, which is?
It's quite interesting, really, because Back to School is when a lot of people of my generation, we used to go to school, and then you go to the careers office and they'd say, "Now Stephen, what do you want to do when you leave school?" And you'd go, "Well, I'd like to either be a footballer or I'd like to be a rock star and play guitar and write songs and so on." And then he'd go, "Oh, I'll put you down as a motor mechanic then." And he'd just sort of totally ignore everything that you said, and he'd write down this thing, which is what happened. And it was so when I left school, and funnily enough, I did sort of join a motor mechanic apprenticeship.
Everyone was right.
But at the same time, I started the VARDIS thing, and I started to play guitar, and I was obsessed about playing guitar, and the songs came out, and I saw Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock on the movies. I didn't actually go to Woodstock, I was only a kid, but I actually saw the film, and it inspired me to say, no, there's more I can do in life. And don't get me wrong, it's not a problem. I would have been quite happy being a motor mechanic, but at the end of the day, I knew I had to give more than just working in a garage all my life, and I just felt, yeah, I want to do this. And so Back to School is about using life, playing live shows, playing concerts, using the road as your college. That was my education after I left school for years, to go out there and play the songs and play music and write music. And to me, that was my true school.
I see, yeah.
And then 30 years later, I'm now
going back again
to school. We're all back.
We're
back to school. And you sort of think there comes a point in life where you finish your school, but in a way, none of us did.
No, you never do, no.
And we all want to carry on, and we all want to learn and enjoy learning. And learning.
If you're drawn to it, you can't do anything.
So Back to School is very much a rock and roll song.
You mentioned Hendrix as an influence. Well, what about other influences you might add to that? Yeah.
Good on you,
You
Mark.
can see there's a poster up there.
Mark Bolan, he was a top chap. Yeah. I mean, when you left school in the early 70s, you were aware of the sort of heavier bands, and you enjoyed the music of, what they call the album bands, but at the same time, you never missed Top of the Pops. And if you were, you'd always enjoy the music of Slade and T-Rex and The Sweet, and there was some great rock and roll and great heavy.
I discovered a lot of bands in that show.
And
that's true,
so many, Nazareth. I mean, the list is endless, and they were making some fantastic recordings and great songs, great performances, and so in a way and that was even before the punk thing. And then when the punk thing happened, you had another layer of dynamics that went on top of that. So in so many ways, especially myself and Martin, because Joe's a little bit younger, we were brought up on that, and it made you feel that it was endless out there. You could create things, you could make things happen and do things, and it's a sensational time to be a young person listening to music, because it was so diverse and so exciting, really.
Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah.
And there are another two songs we didn't mention from the album: Head of the Nail.
It's something bullseye.
Bullseye's a good phrase. I like that. It's about focusing your power in a sense that you have to be driven in life. You have to know what you want to achieve, and the strange thing is that it's all about the fact that talent is never enough in life. Never. You can be the most talented person on the planet. It doesn't guarantee anything. Unless you're driven and focused, and unless you can hit the spot and push to hit the spot, it ain't going to happen. Human beings make things happen. If you depend on other people, it won't happen. And so you have to hit that head of the nail, and you push and you push. Yeah, very important, that.
Yeah.
So it's a song about that, about being focused, about being driven. It doesn't matter. It's not just about music. It's anything. If you write a book, if you paint a picture, if you anything in the arts, you have to have a drive. And by having that drive, that's why we're together, because we all had drive, and we all eventually drove into this VARDIS pool. I mean, it happens. It's how it. You know.
And then the track that concludes the regular version of the album, 200 miles per hour. I don't know if you can remember, Joe, when you were recording it.
Yeah, I think
Is that a vocal track?
Yeah, the main track on the album. There's a reprise on it as well, which is an instrumental. But again, 200 miles an hour is a take on the original 100 miles an hour, and it's about the progression from the person that was in the character of the 100 miles an hour song 30 years later. So it's about VARDIS now as opposed to back in 79, 80. And the 200 mile an hour is, I think, myself and Joe and Terry expressing ourselves in both heavy rock and heavy metal, but also into a sort of bluesy theme which comes out of that as well. So yeah.
It's only been a couple of months, but I feel like I belong to it now already, after a short space of time, you know. Even though I'm not on the album, it's mine.
Yeah. And VARDIS has been very much this quality to it.
Yeah, it's a funny feeling. It's like a family. Already it's like a family. It's incredible.
And do you ever improvise when playing? I'm talking about the instrumental.
Live?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we do that quite
Quite
a
a
lot.
bit, yeah.
We have cues, so he can go for as long as he likes.
It's good. So, you know, if you go to a VARDIS gig, even if the set list is the same, it means you're never going to get the same thing.
No,
Never.
never.
And even the words, I'll just make them up sometimes.
What's he on about?
It's all about expression, and as a musician, especially live, every time we play live, it's a privilege, and it's a privilege for me to work with two great guys and enjoy what they're doing, and also to feel the audience and feel the joy that's mutual. And it's that same old adage that the audience and the band become one entity, and it's a unique thing. That
I think we want the people who work with us wherever it is to enjoy what they're doing. So the technicians, this front of house engineer, the monitor engineer, they're enjoying it.
It's easy to forget how much fun it is.
Yeah, because that's why you're there.
You're on
there
stage
to
and think, bloody
entertain
hell, this
people.
is really good fun. You forget that because everything else is, the flights and the bag and the guitars and the strings and the sound and the mix. Well, you think about all that. When you go on stage, you think, this is bloody good fun.
Right, so we're at the end of this chat. I don't know if you want to say something, a message to the fans who will be seeing this just before the album is released. Any of you, or all of you, or whatever.
I'm the new boy.
We look forward to the playing live shows wherever it might be.
You've already got
Seeing everybody.
Yeah, and I think we'd like to be getting out eventually out to Asia and Japan and America and going further afield.
You've never played outside Europe, have you?
No.
So that's what we're looking. Yeah, we're looking forward to playing, whether it's in a local towns in
London,
Britain, wherever, but also going further afield.
Yeah, and I think it's the value of every show being a special event, and it's a special event because over this past couple of years, the core VARDIS support has been phenomenal, and it's a two-way street, and we want to enjoy and give music and play music to people. And hopefully they reciprocate that and come and see the shows and enjoy the new album, and we'll see everybody very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
All right, and any updates on the gigs? Anything to do with VARDIS? There's always the website.
Yeah,
check out.
VARDISRocks.com.
And that Sheffield one's been confirmed now.
Apparently, yeah. So we'll be playing the UK show hopefully before Christmas. So yeah.